Good afternoon. I'm Meteorologist Chris Tomer. Welcome to this 10 Weather Impact Show. And now that we're able to kind of look back and kind of assess what we saw with this severe weather event, I think we really kind of lucked out across central Ohio with that rain that came in Wednesday night initially and really cooled the atmosphere off. And then a lot of the severe weather kind of moved and shifted to the south and to southern Ohio. And then there was a little bit up in northern Ohio as well. Let me just show you what's going on outside right now on the sky view here, looking across the city of Columbus. We've got some sunshine trying to break through. The one thing, though, that we've got today that you're absolutely going to notice is the wind. It is gusty out there across all of central Ohio. Here's the view at Reynoldsburg. Some of these cumulus clouds hanging on. The wind is just kind of moving these clouds across the area very quickly, but it is dry. All of the rain, all of the thunderstorms have now moved out of the area, in fact, completely out of most of Ohio at this point. Up in Mad River Mountain in northwest Ohio, we got some rain up there and some thunderstorms, but now we have dry, windy conditions. Here's your satellite and radar. So when you look at it, yeah, there's just nothing left. The storm has now exited to the south. All the rain is now into parts of West Virginia. We have a couple of showers and storms moving through Pennsylvania, but compared to what this looked like last night, it is very calm. Now, when you look back at all of the storm reports, severe weather reports of whether it was wind or hail, it can be tornadoes, there are a lot of wind reports here. We had some storms that rolled across northern Ohio last night. We were tracking those. Those produced some severe weather reports up there. And, of course, we had plenty down in southern Ohio. A lot of emphasis on severe weather down there. Look at all these. When you see these little trees that are snapped, those are high wind icons, high wind reports, severe weather wind reports, a lot of them down in southern Ohio, but nothing across central Ohio except for rainfall. Lots of rain. We had 3/4 of an inch officially over the last 24 hours in the Columbus area. Newark had about 1/2 of an inch of rain, same in Dublin. Same in Mansfield, Delaware about 3/4, Urbana about 1/2. You look at some of these other reports. The one that stands out is Athens down in southern Ohio. They just had so much rain. They had flash flood watches and warnings down there, flood warnings down there across a lot of southern Ohio. Athens at almost 2.5 inches of rain. So here's the story of the day now. It's the wind. We're seeing gusts of about 30, 35, 40 miles per hour. At Newark, gusts to about 30, about 40 up in Mount Vernon, 30 in Mansfield, officially out in Columbus here. Gusts to about 30 down in Washington Courthouse. And this kind of wind will continue most of the afternoon, and eventually, though, it will relax tonight. I'll show you that wind forecast coming up. Current temperatures. So once the rain hit last night, it dropped our numbers, our temps, into the upper 60s and lower 70s. We've recovered. It's about 80 in Columbus right now, of course, much drier, 70s to about 80 across a lot of the southern counties there. So here's what I'm looking at. The wind will relax tonight. It is going to be much, much drier on Friday and Saturday, and the rain chances will come back late Sunday into Monday. So over the next 12 hours here, all the way through the night into the early morning hours, if you have anything planned tonight, it should be totally fine, except for the wind. Temperatures will fall into the 60s. We're headed into a period where most of the temperatures are going to be in the 70s as we look down the road 5, 6, 7 days out, and that's slightly below normal for this time of the year. All right, so our precip chances are 0 on Friday. It's about 10% Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. It goes up to 50% for Sunday night, and a much higher chance on Sunday of just seeing some rain, maybe a couple of thunderstorms mixed in, and drier for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Here's our forecast radar and satellite. Not a lot to show you here. Clearing skies overnight into Friday morning. We'll have some sunshine tomorrow, some afternoon cloudiness, but no rain. On Saturday in the morning, it is dry. We will start with a little bit of sunshine here. And then there's that 10% chance of maybe a sprinkle in the afternoon hours. This is Saturday at 5 p.m. I mean, it's such a low chance. All right, here's the wind gust forecast. So watch the numbers and watch the clock. By the time we get to 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock tonight, the wind is basically done. We're down to 5 to 10, maybe a 5 to 15 mile per hour wind, but that's way down from where we are at right now. Low temperatures tonight will be in the upper 50s here across a lot of central Ohio, some middle 50s over in the eastern counties. High temperatures tomorrow, pretty similar to today, maybe a couple of degrees cooler, but upper 70s, I'm going 78. All right, here's your 10 Weather Impact 7-day forecast. So dry and sunny on Friday. Dry and sunny on Saturday, just a 10% chance of a shower or a storm. Father's Day, that 50% chance of rain is very late in the day. Most of the day should be dry with lots of sunshine. Monday, probably the wettest day of the next 7 days, and 77. And then we're in for a much drier stretch there Tuesday, Wednesday, and also on Thursday. All right, so while our weather has gotten much quieter now, that was certainly not the case last night. As we turn now to look at some storm damage in the 10 TV viewing area, we're tracking the aftermath of some of those strong thunderstorms that hit central Ohio last night, early this morning. There were kind of like two different opportunities there. This video is from our crew. They captured it just hours ago down in Pike County, where trees were uprooted. There were power lines down. First responders were there helping to survey the damage. This afternoon, though, we're getting a better look at all the damage left by some of those storms. 10 TV News reporter Amy Steigerwald was in Pike County this morning with a fresh look at that.
As it gets lighter out, we're really starting to see the damage here across Pike County, specifically Elm Grove. As we pan over here, you can see this is the roof of the shelter house for firefighters at the Elm Grove Fire Department. Thankfully, we're told there were no injuries, but definitely extensive damage here as first responders begin to survey things throughout the morning. We did speak to the EMA director who's been on site here throughout the early parts of the morning. He says they will be out throughout the day, speaking with residents that are impacted by this. Again, so far, at least that he knows of, there were no serious injuries. This is the type of storm they expected, and they have seen this damage before. Take a listen to what he had to say.
We train and plan for this every single day of the year. We're always ready, winter, spring, summer, fall. Wonderful firefighters, wonderful EMS and law enforcement personnel. So as long as we don't have civilians injured, we're going to be just fine.
And this is also what we're seeing across multiple roads here in Pike County. This is right near State Route 32, where wires have been stretched down throughout the morning. They had it shut down. Still, first responders on scene working to clear things up. If you encounter something like this, you are encouraged to treat it as a live wire. Be very careful. If your property is seeing something like this, the county is encouraging you to reach out to the EMA with any questions just to make sure everything is safe. They're going to continue surveying things throughout the day. But for now, I'm going to send things back to you. Reporting in Pike County, Amy Steigerwald for 10 TV News.
All right, thanks, Amy, for that report. Now, if there is damage to your home or in your area, there are steps you can take to protect your money and use it wisely. First, call your insurance company to file a claim. Be sure to be diligent, documenting everything, and take lots of pictures. Also, you can apply for aid from government organizations. And keep in mind, if someone approaches you offering to fix your home, make sure they're legit. Ask, as we've talked about, scammers will try to take advantage. They'll fly into town after these storms and try to take advantage of you. So just be aware of that. And so sticking with these thunderstorms that we saw, we want to see what you're seeing in your community. So send us photos. If you have any photos, videos of any storm damage or impacts to your area, send those in. You can text them to the number that's on your screen, 614-460-3345, and we might feature it right here on 10 TV. And finally, remember, we always have the latest weather and traffic updates on our app. I talk about this a lot. We have this great radar, live radar on there as well that when you're out and about, out in the field, you can check that live radar anywhere, anytime, and you're going to get the latest on that. So visit 10tv.com for more updates and more information throughout the day. Now, while we did have some nasty thunderstorms, it was far from the worst weather with this recent storm system. You might remember looking at radar last night when you looked at Indiana, when you looked at Illinois. There were damaging tornadoes out in those areas. So speaking of which, some dramatic video here from Illinois yesterday evening. Take a look at this. Several rounds of severe weather slammed central Illinois on Wednesday. And this is dramatic video captured by WCIA. It shows a tornado tearing through Montrose, Illinois, destroying multiple homes and sending debris flying into the air. Another view of that same storm shows when video captured right in the moment, a tornado sent debris swirling into the air. The stringer who captured this video said 2 houses were impacted and 2 people suffered non-life-threatening injuries. I mean, that is a That's just nasty condition. So, all right, just down the road, the tornado, there was another tornado spotted in Effingham. I remember this one. This was pretty photogenic. Effingham, Illinois. The storm also was reported to have left behind some damage and certainly an impressive funnel caught right there on camera. With more on the violent storms that were sweeping through the Midwest and the first tropical storm of the season, which is swamping parts of the South, CBS's Tina Kraus has that report.
Tornadoes tore through the Midwest Wednesday, triggering a trail of damage and desperate warnings.
There's a tornado! Get inside! Get inside!
A reporter tracking the destructive path of one that slammed Illinois.
Strong tornado in progress. There's buildings being lofted into the air, Kevin. I've got chunks of buildings being lofted into the air right now. This is live TV, folks.
Tornadoes leveled parts of Effingham County, where one man showed extensive damage to his car.
That 4x4 come all the way through the back window.
And the severe weather stretches far beyond the Midwest. Along the Gulf Coast, Tropical Storm Arthur, the first named storm of the hurricane season, has now weakened as it moves inland, but is still dumping heavy rain and threatening communities with dangerous flooding.
12 inches of water can lift a typical car, and 2 feet can lift a truck.
But the rough weather didn't stop the World Cup action in Houston.
Weather's tough outside, but thankfully Houston's got a roof.
Officials across Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama urged residents to prepare.
Water comes in and it just has a mind of its own. It takes control over the river and it took over the banks here.
Sandbags are filling quickly, a familiar line of defense for people all too used to this. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
All right, from severe weather now to earthquakes and a massive 6.7 magnitude event that just struck Indonesia. Check out this video. Footage from Tuesday shows people rushing from a church as the quake hit. The earthquake's epicenter was recorded about 42 kilometers. That's about 26.1 miles to the southeast of the town of Palu at a depth of about 10 kilometers. Indonesia's geophysics agency, BMKG, said, thankfully, there was no tsunami risk. And sticking with earthquakes, preparing for the big one just got a lot more real. Geologists just discovered the San Andreas Fault has actually built up more pressure now than it had in the last 1,000 years, so it's pent up energy. So what does that mean for Southern California? Well, CBS LA's Hunter Sowards has that report after talking to some experts.
It snakes a monstrous 800 miles through California, from the desert of Palm Springs to the iconic skyline of San Francisco. The San Andreas Fault, feared by all, has sat relatively calm in recent years. But the reminder of its power is seen in the scars, some long since repaired, others still carved into the earth. A new study finds San Andreas has built up more pressure today than in the last 1,000 years, priming the SoCal region for just what geologists have warned about for decades, the big one.
You got to remember, imminent to a geologist is like in the next century.
Iconic seismologist for the USGS, Dr. Lucy Jones, says this study tells us a lot, but it doesn't tell us everything.
It doesn't tell us when the next earthquake's going to be.
To understand the future, geologists looked to the past, compiling data from the last 1,000 years and creating this snapshot. The red along the fault represents historically high pressure, built by over a century of calm, with no significant quake to ease the Earth's energy.
Unfortunately, there in Southern California, you guys, are plagued with a lot of different fault lines, including the different parts of the San Andreas itself and other faults like the San Jacinto.
And it's at that intersection of faults sitting here at the critical corridor of the Cajon Pass that acts as a gateway through the state, meaning a potentially massive quake stretching from one end of California to the next.
So there have been some earthquakes in the past that look like they went the whole length from south all the way to north through the Cajon Pass, and the stress level is extra high on sort of both sides of that right now, increasing the chances that the next one could actually rip right through that area and be a larger earthquake overall.
A double fault rupture much worse than a single fault event, which we know is still deadly, like the 1989 6.9 Loma Prieta quake in San Francisco, killing 63 people.
Communities recover from disasters because they are strong communities, because people are connected to each other.
Experts say this study should be motivation to take the big one a little more seriously.
We want to know our neighbors so we know how to help each other afterwards.
right, well, we continue to get closer this afternoon to our nation's 250th anniversary, and that means it's time to look back at how weather has changed our history. From Evan Stewart, he's from our sister station WVEC. He's taking a look back to a time before radar, before satellites. Back then, one of America's founding fathers made a discovery that helped change how we understand storms. On a cloudy night in 1743, so a couple of days ago, Benjamin Franklin uncovered a key principle to meteorology, and it started with a missing lunar eclipse.
We track storms every day, watching rain or snow move in on the radar, following hurricanes along the coast. But in the 1700s, scientists didn't understand that storms have their own motion, separate and independent from the surface wind. Now, in 1743, Benjamin Franklin was in Philadelphia preparing to observe a lunar eclipse. The problem? A storm moved in. Clouds blocked the sky, and the surface winds were blowing from the northeast. Now, Franklin assumed the storm had come from that direction and likely spoiled the view in Boston as well. That's where his brother lived. But he learned something surprising. The eclipse was in fact visible in Boston, and the storm arrived there 3 hours after Philadelphia. That meant the storm hadn't followed the surface wind at all. Franklin realized that storms have their own circulation and path of motion. He later confirmed the idea in 1749 by tracking a hurricane up the East Coast using newspaper reports from multiple cities. But it was that simple insight, that storms move independently through the atmosphere, that became a foundation of modern meteorology. So every time we track a storm today, we're still using a principle first uncovered by Franklin. After one cloudy night, hid the moon.
That's interesting. All right, so finally today, let's check out some new video into us here at 10 TV. So the first named storm of the 2026 tropical season has already come and gone. And while Arthur, which is the name, mostly produced heavy rainfall, it did have a minor impact along the coast as well. Check out this video from you could see the waves building there that could be seen splashing over the highway barriers in Galveston, Texas, as the tropical storm formed in the Gulf of Mexico on Wednesday. High winds affected power lines through the area, forcing many businesses to rely on generators. All right, so finally today, a different kind of storm video coming in from the desert in the Southwest. On Wednesday evening, a large cloud of dust, oh, I love these, was seen on the KPHO chopper rolling into the Phoenix area. They just love this when this happens. They get everything ready to go. They get staged. They launch the choppers, and this dust came rolling into town with a cluster of thunderstorms expected throughout the week, according to the National Weather Service. So they may see this again. And while these storms do also come with some rainfall, the initial blast of wind causes them to start out more as a dust storm than anything else. All right, well, that's going to do it today for this 10 weather update here on this 10 Weather Impact Show. Appreciate you tuning in here. I'll be here through this evening with a look at your weekend forecast, the wind, the next chance of rain, all of that. We'll have it through the night. Thanks for tuning in here.